Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gamansing. In our top story, Governor Mapp indicated while full details of a visit are unavailable at the moment, the White House, the advance team, along with the Federal Emergency Management Agency and the government of the VI, they were working out the logistics surrounding President Donald Trump's arrival. At a meeting with senior officials on Hurricane Maria on Wednesday, the president stressed that his top priorities are life-saving and life-sustaining efforts in the affected areas. He emphasized the need to remain steadfast in supporting the ongoing response and recovery efforts in Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands, and made it clear that there's no such thing as over-responding, and that he expects all elements of the federal government to plan for long-term support to the governors of Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands. He praised the leadership provided by the Department of Homeland Security, FEMA, and Governors Ricardo Rosselló of Puerto Rico and Governor Mapp before, during, and after the impact of the recent storms. President Trump recently amended the U.S. Virgin Islands disaster declaration to authorize an increase in federal funding for debris removal and emergency protective measures in the territory. He increased cost sharing to 100% federal cost share for debris removal and emergency protective measures, including direct federal assistance for 180 days from the start of the incident period. Meanwhile, Governor Mapp announced school is expected to be back in session in the St. Thomas-St. John district on Monday, October 9th. All personnel of the Virgin Islands Department of Education were informed last evening to report to work today 1 hour after the curfew was lifted beginning time. As mentioned in the governor's press conference last evening, plans were made to provide educational services to the territory's students. The governor informed that 12th graders were a priority in the public education system. Further, he and the Commissioner of Education also unveiled that 3 schools have been condemned and 1 school will be moved to another location. Here's further details from Dr. Sharon McCollum, the Commissioner of Education.
Stated the decision was made today that we will be condemning Emmanuel Benjamin Oliver. Yes, sir. We have condemned, as well as Adelita Cancrine Junior High School. We will be combining the Emmanuel Benjamin Oliver students with Yvonne Bowski Elementary School. We are not approaching double session in the same manner in which it has been previously done. What we will do is bring all the staff in simultaneously at the same time, and we will bring the students in groups K through 3 for both schools at the same time. We will service those children in the morning hours, and then after lunch we will bring the students in for both schools in grades 4, 5, and 6. Ivana Eudora Ken, we will be going on split session within the school. 9th graders will come in the morning. We will conduct the 9th grade academy, and then in the afternoon session, we will have grades 10, 11, and 12. We will be combining the Cancrine students. At this point in time, we're looking at putting them at Bertha C. Basholta Middle School. If we can find a place closer to town, we will. But at this point, we are contemplating and moving in the direction of putting all of our middle school students in one school.
Virgin Islands Lieutenant Governor Osbert Potter and the St. Thomas Blue Roof Mission, the manager, Jay Ling, as well as Lieutenant Colonel John Johnston, they began Operation Blue Roof installation on Saturday, September 23rd. Operation Blue Roof is a program offered by FEMA through the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to eligible homeowners and landlords. It provides a temporary covering of blue plastic sheeting to help reduce further damage to property until permanent repairs can be made. The blue plastic sheeting is installed using strips of wood that are secured to the roof with nails or screws. Last evening, Governor Mapp unveiled further plans for the operation to begin on St. Croix. Here's more.
The blue roofing program is getting off the ground, and I had a very good work session with FEMA and the folks at the Army Corps of Engineers, the Virgin Islands Housing Authority, the Virgin Islands Housing Finance Authority as well. And in the past, when we had these TARP programs and we gave them out to a single contractor, they did not work. And I expressed that to the Army Corps of Engineers. That process didn't work. And so the Army Corps of Engineers has agreed to add now additional contractors for St. Thomas, St. John, and St. Croix for the Blue Roof program, so that more persons, more homes that are either roofless or have damaged roofs can be able to have their roofs or their covers put on them. We are setting up, we have not, but we're setting up, and I hope to announce this week that for the Blue Roof program, in addition to the DSA teams that are out in the community that are already filling out information, they will continue to do that. We're also going to open up the Department of Public Works on both islands, the Department of Human Services on both islands, and the Department of the Virgin Islands Housing Authority on both islands. And I'll give you the day and dates so that you can begin to go in and fill out the application for the Blue Roof program.
Well, in other news, the government of the USVI would like to bring to the community's attention some false information they say being circulated on social media about this weekend's Mercy Cruise evacuation from the territory. Beverly Nicholson Doty, who's the Commissioner of Tourism, says one such post says that you can email Royal Caribbean Cruises directly to secure a spot on the vessel. She said this is false. Additionally, there is no online registration for this cruise. Anyone who registered using a Google form that has been circulating will not be accommodated on the basis of that registration. Only the information posted on tourism's social media and shared on official government channels can be relied on. The Royal Caribbean cruise ship, as we reported, will travel from Puerto Rico and arrive on St. Croix on Friday before departing for Fort Lauderdale via St. Thomas on Saturday. The ship will accommodate up to 750 passengers from St. Croix, up to 200 passengers from St. John, and 50 from St. Thomas. Priority for passage will be given to high-risk pregnant women, the elderly, and those with urgent medical needs. The Cyril E. King Airport on St. Thomas has reopened to commercial flights, and that happened today. American Airlines and Delta have one flight each to and from St. Thomas. Cape Air is also expected to resume flights between St. Thomas and St. Croix on Saturday. Travelers should contact the airlines directly for flight schedules. VIPA thanks the U.S. military, federal and local agencies, custom builders, and its airline and airport tenant partners for their assistance in reopening Cyril E. King Airport's terminal just 9 days after the territory was struck by its second Category 5 hurricane in a single month. The Rolston Airport terminal on St. Croix is tentatively set to reopen on October 5th. WAPA began some limited hours of operation at the St. Croix Customer Service Center, and this is an update at the Sunny Isle on Wednesday. Now, the office will be open each weekday from 12 noon to 3:30 p.m. These hours may be adjusted based on the curfew, they say. Customer service hours on St. Thomas and St. John are suspended pending a relocation of the offices. The pay online option is still available via the WAPA website, which is www.viwapa.vi. Now, beginning on Friday morning at 7 a.m., WAPA Cruise and its contractors will be positioning a shipment of about 1,300 utility poles at strategic locations across St. Thomas. The utility poles are part of an initial shipment of additional supplies needed to rebuild the electric transmission and distribution system. Convoys will move from the Waiko cruise ship dock in Havenside, where the shipment of supplies is arriving, and will head out to areas including the west end of the island, as well as to locations on the north side and east end. There will also be a movement of poles to Red Hook for the island of St. John. WAPA is requesting that the cooperation of the motoring public during this undertaking. They're asking to please yield the right-of-way to the convoys of vehicles as they move about the island with wide load trucks to safely transport and position these poles. Here's an update on the restoration project from John Griot.
Work continued on St. Croix Wednesday to restore service to additional portions of downtown Christiansted and Frederiksted. It is anticipated that service will be restored to customers on Church and Company streets by the end of the week. Replacement poles were planted on the roadway headed to the Frederiksted post office, with cleanup crews working in the Frederiksted parking lot area and also on the roadway headed to the island's east end. On St. Thomas, crews continue to work on feeders 6A, 7A, 8A, and 9A. Restoration work took place Wednesday on a portion of feeder 7B in Estate Thomas. In addition, work was done on feeder 6B in preparation for the energizing of the Alexander Farrelly Justice Center and the Ron DeLugo Federal Building by the weekend. Crews continued to work on feeder 6A heading towards UVI. This work included planting poles and carrying out repairs to restore service to the Gladys Abraham Elementary School. Reconstruction of a transmission feeder towards Dono and eventually to the Tutu substation is underway. Work on feeder 7A is focused on bringing electrical service to Banco Popular, Scotiabank, and nearby businesses on Howard Highway. On St. John, crews are working in the Cruz Bay area, planting new poles from the roundabout towards the Myra Keating Smith Clinic. WAPA continues to work jointly with VIA, the Virgin Islands Waste Management Authority, and the Department of Public Works on a cleanup initiative across the territory. Over the next several days, crews from all agencies will work to facilitate WMA access to the Monbijou and Concordia bin sites on St. Croix, as well as access to the LBJ pump station. The Waste Management Authority is also seeking assistance from the four companies in gaining access to the Vessel Bay pump station on the east end of St. Thomas. Customers of WAPA are reminded of their responsibility to ensure that their meter base and their weatherhead is ready to have electrical service restored following the hurricanes. WAPA is not responsible for and cannot carry out repairs to weatherheads and to meter bases.
Hurricane Maria whipped Puerto Rico as well with Irma level winds, drenched the island with Harvey level flooding, crippled communications and decimated buildings and damaged a dam that puts downstream residents at risk of catastrophe. But help has been slow, according to the residents, and Andy Rose has more on what is causing some of these delays. Here's more.
It's been a week since Puerto Rico was devastated by Hurricane Maria, wiping out power and crippling the island's infrastructure. Communities are running out of food, water, and medicine, leaving people desperately wondering, where is all the help? One port in Puerto Rico has more than 1,500 containers of emergency supplies waiting to be distributed, but can't be because of a lack of fuel or employees who are unable to get there.
The problem has been with the logistics for those trucking companies. As an example, they have their equipment available and ready, then they're facing the challenge of the fact that there's no fuel.
Another cause for the delay, according to several lawmakers, is cost, which they say is due to a century-old law called the Jones Act. Originally intended to promote shipping by U.S.-owned vessels in 1920, the act has actually made it twice as expensive to move goods from mainland U.S. to Puerto Rico. Those lawmakers are urging the Jones Act to be waived for a year in order for goods to flow more freely. The Secretary of Homeland Security said that the act was lifted for Hurricanes Harvey and Irma because of fuel supply shortages, which she says Puerto Rico isn't having problems with. President Donald Trump says it's still under consideration.
Well, we're thinking about that, but we have a lot of shippers and a lot of people people that work in the shipping industry that don't want the Jones Act lifted.
I'm Andy Rose reporting.
Keeping our eye on the economy, let's take a look at the stock market watch at the New York Stock Exchange. According to the numbers, we can see everything up. The Dow up 40, NASDAQ and S&P up. Coming up on News 2, we have some more hotspots, some Wi-Fi hotspots, some free opens hotspots. We have information on that and much, much more. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Via's customers are reminded that the public should report down lines and stay away from them. Remember, cutting lines will hold up the restoration process as the company hopes to complete its repairs soon as possible. We'll have more on the restoration process. Meanwhile, Via is pleased to announce that there are 3 Wi-Fi hotspots on St. Croix: Plaza Extra West, Plaza Extra East, and Vitima's Emergency Operations Center. It is anticipated that there will be additional hotspots in Christiansted, Frederiksted, and Sunny Isles shortly. Now, everyone is invited to log on for free and without a password. That's the login information coming up there. And please note that the hotspots are open to the public and not just for Via customer use. Here's more.
It's very important because the community really needs to get their applications out for FEMA, since they have 60 days after the storm. So we needed a hotspot so everybody can get their applications out to claim all the damages and everything they have on St. Croix.
Well, Vitima invited all government departments and semi-autonomous agencies which sustained damages as a result of the hurricanes to attend a FEMA Public Assistance Grant applicants briefing that was held today at the CAHS Auditorium. The FEMA Public Assistance Grant provides funds to eligible government departments and agencies for the restoration of public roads and facilities following a presidential disaster declaration. Certain private nonprofits could also be eligible for assistance. Now, the event provided a program overview, eligibility, and procurement requirements. At the end of the briefing, applicants had the opportunity to submit a request for public assistance, which will initiate the funding application process.
Vitima administers the FEMA Public Assistance Program, which provides federal funding for the restoration of public roads and facilities. If you are a government agency, a semi-autonomous agency, as well as a qualifying private nonprofit, you could qualify for funds to reimburse yourself 90 to 100% of the cost to restore your facilities. That includes contents, like your equipment, your furnishing, your supplies, if you have vehicles that are damaged. All these items are eligible under the FEMA Public Assistance Program, and you could be eligible to receive 90 to 100% of the cost of that restoration. If you believe you are a qualifying applicant, I ask that you contact me, Renata Christian West, at Renata, renata.christian@vitima.vi.gov, or call Vitima at 774-2244 to fill out a request for public assistance. That's the application that we initiate the process for your federal assistance.
The kickoff meeting, this is where we'll meet one-on-one to discuss your eligibility and your damages. We're going to ask that, to make it the most productive meeting as possible, that you bring some documents, namely any leases, any pictures, pre-incident and post-incident pictures, any work that you've already completed and you have costs associated with that, bring that. If you have estimated costs for any work that you have yet to complete, bring that as well. If you have a proposal of work, bring that to the meeting. Who's going to do the work, when they're going to do it, bring that. Next slide. And if you know of any potential environmental concerns or historic preservation issues, bring those to the table as well. The age of the facility, the age of the facilities nearby your facility that could be impacted by the project, and your insurance policy, of course. Bring that to the meeting as well.
Thanks for that information, Renata. Local business Allied Rental has been selling a lot of different equipment, from air compressors and pressure washers to concrete mixers. Now, of course, a big seller is the generators. Now, here's an update on the stock. If you're looking for a generator, they received 3 containers full, and they hope to receive more, they say, in about 2 weeks. They also received some chainsaws for those who are in need. Again, be sure to check out Allied Rentals. The Virgin Islands Department of Finance advises all employees in both the St. Thomas, St. John, and St. Croix districts to physically check into work no later than Friday, September 29th. Employees are asked to contact their division heads for information relative to location and time. Due to the lack of adequate communication services, the department encourages staff to stay tuned to local news outlets for updated information regarding the department's restoration efforts. The department continues to assess and address the severe damages sustained at its locations on St. Thomas and St. Croix to facilitate the return of staff to a safe and suitable work environment. Department of Health has a message for outpatient clients of the department's mental health division. They say those who receive monthly injections are asked to bring their medications to the following locations. On St. Croix, it's at the Charles Hallwood Complex, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday from 1:30 to 3:30, and at the Frederiksted Health Center, Monday and Wednesday, 11:30 to 3:30, and on St. Thomas at Catholic Charities at Bethlehem House Hospital Ground daily from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And that's all the information, that update there from the Department of Health. You can call them for more information. Be sure to stick around. Your News 2 AccuWeather forecast is coming up next.
Hopefully everybody is doing okay today. We are seeing some off and on showers. That is because of this tropical wave heading in our direction. It's going to continue like this throughout tonight, and of course as time progresses it's going to be moving up to the north and eventually a little to the west. So it's going to be a bit wet off and on for the next day or so. Tonight 79 degrees, partly cloudy conditions. Tomorrow in St. John 87 degrees with a shower or two. In St. Thomas a shower or two should be expected. 87 degrees, and in St. Croix 87 again. Expect a couple of showers throughout the day. The ocean is a bit rough right now. We do have rip current advisories, especially for St. Croix, but everyone really throughout the weekend. Waves 3 to 5 feet, winds out of the east 10 to 15 knots. The Caribbean side, same story. Very dangerous rip currents out there. Throughout the weekend we have this advisory in place, so be careful if you're heading out there. For the next couple of days we could see a shower or two, and then we go back to our typical pattern. Trade wind showers could be seen mainly in the afternoon. Spotty showers, some people stay wet. Some people could see a very light, brief shower. Temperatures are going to stay warm. Our highs throughout the week are at 87 degrees, and overnight around 78, 79 degrees, a bit humid as well. Back to you.
Thanks for that update. Here's a look at our weather picture there by Tavian Morton of Great Minds Summer Learning Academy 2017, sharing a picture of some raindrops and dark clouds. We'll be getting a little of everything, plus some sunshine, Tavian. Thank you for that. Send us your News 2 weather picture to the address on the screen, and be sure to tune in to News 2. That is all for this edition. We'd like to thank you for joining us for all the latest. I'm Sandra Gumansing. Remember to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. Have a wonderful evening.